हेलो एवरीवन एंड वेलकम बैक टू एजुकेशन एटर्निटी। चैनल पर नए हो, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलना, नोटिफिकेशन बेल को दबा दो। अब बिना देरी के अब हम लोग अपना आज का चैप्टर शुरू करने वाले हैं और हमारा आज का चैप्टर है हीट। अब आप सभी को पता है हीट क्या होती है एंड वी हैव डिफरेंट सोर्सेज ऑफ हीट। सो व्हाट इज़ हीट? So heat is basically energy. Heat is one of the forms of energy. Different types of energy changes into heat when you rub your hands, so they became warm because the friction is generated when you run or you do any exercise. Heat is generated in your body and you start sweating. Burning of fuels also generate heat. In fact, a water heater, electricity is used to heat up the water. Hence, we can say that heat or thermal energy can be produced from different types of energy and it can transform into types of energy too. Now, how is heat measured? So, heat is detected with the help of a thermometer. Heat is detected by temperature. First of all, it is detected by temperature. A cup of tea just made is called hot and it has high temperature. However, water taken from a refrigerator is called cold because it is at low temperature. So when we feel a sensation of hot and cold by touching an object, we say that the temperature of this body is too much or it is very low. Now, water in the first now next thing, how is temperature measured? The hotness or coldness of a body is sensed by touch. However, touching cannot give us a value of a temperature. So, to measure temperature, we need a scale, and for this, we have a thermometer, and we have different types of scales. The first one is a Celsius, the second one is Fahrenheit, and the third one is Kelvin. Now, talking about the Celsius scale, so it is the most commonly used scale of temperature. In this scale, the freezing point of water is taken as 0, whereas the boiling point of water is taken as 100, and in between the range is divided into 100 equal divisions. Now the second is Fahrenheit. In this scale, the freezing point of water is taken as 32 degree Fahrenheit, while the boiling point is fixed at 212 degree Fahrenheit, and the range is divided into 180 equal divisions. Now the Celsius and the Fahrenheit scale meet at minus 40 degree. This means that minus 40 degree Celsius will be equal to minus 40 degree Fahrenheit. Now the third one is the Kelvin scale. Kelvin scale is the most commonly used scale in scientific calculations. In this scale, the freezing point is 273.15 Kelvin and the boiling point is 373.15 Kelvin, and between two temperatures there are 100 equal divisions, such as in the Celsius scale. Now, instrument for measuring of temperature. The temperature is measured by a thermometer. What is a thermometer? A thermometer is a device which detects the change in temperature of an object. It works on the principle that liquid expands on heating. When a liquid is heated, particles move faster and spread out over a large area. This is called expansion. And when a liquid is cool, its particles slows down and come closer, hence its volumes decreases. This is called contraction. In the beginning, alcohol was used as a liquid in thermometer. Nowadays, it is replaced by mercury. And a thermometer has the following characteristics. There is a thin glass tube and it has a very small diameter. The bulb is filled with liquid and air is removed from the upper part of the capillary. Third one, the capillary is surrounded by a glass tube on which a scale is etched to read the temperature. In alcohol thermometer, the scale is usually from minus 10 degree to 75, whereas in mercury thermometers, the scale can vary up to a higher temperature. Now, a laboratory thermometer. Thermometers used in laboratories are filled with either alcohol or with mercury, and they commonly range from minus 25 degree to 350 degrees Celsius. While using the thermometer, its bulb should be dipped completely into the liquid. So, while using the laboratory thermometer, you should know the following things. Never hold the thermometer from its bulb. Keep the thermometer vertical. Dip the bulb completely into the liquid whose temperature you are measuring. Take the temperature reading without moving the thermometer out of the container. While noticing your reading, your eyes should be at the same level as that of mercury line. And at least two readings, you should have at least two readings which avoid inaccuracy. Now, the next is the clinical thermometer. So, a clinical thermometer is used to measure body temperature by bringing the bulb in contact with a human body. Now you should also know a difference between a laboratory thermometer and a clinical thermometer. So it is long. Laboratory thermometer is longer, whereas the clinical thermometer is shorter. The temperature range in laboratory thermometer is from minus 10 degrees Celsius to 350 degrees Celsius, whereas in clinical it is from 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. While taking the reading, the bulb remains in contact with the substance, while in clinical, while taking the reading, the bulb is removed from the body. Now, how is heat transferred? So there are three ways in which the heat gets transferred. The first is conduction, the second is convection, and the third one is radiation. Now talking about conduction. Conduction is a mode of heat of transfer in solids. In solid, the particles are very closely packed and cannot leave their positions. However, they can vibrate at their own positions when heat energy is provided to the particles. When they start vibrating faster and collide with the neighboring particles, during these collisions, heat is transferred from a hotter particle to a colder particle. This process takes place rapidly and continuously till the whole solid heats up. For conduction of heat, a solid should be in contact with a source of heat or another object at a higher temperature. Metals are the most common solids which transfer heat through conduction. However, all solids do not allow heat transfer like metals. Some solids allow heat to transfer very slowly, while the others do not transfer heat at all. Now, solids which readily allow the transfer of heat through them are known as conductors, whereas those which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are generally poor conductors or insulators. And solids which do not allow any heat, they are known as insulators. Now, conduction in our lives. Metals such as aluminium, copper, alloy, stainless steel, they are used in cooking vessels. Handles of cooking utensils are made of wood or plastic, so it works as an insulator. Now the next one is convection. Convection is a mode of transfer of heat in liquid and gas. Convection is based on the principle that hot particles of liquid and gas move faster and rise up, letting the cooler particles to move down towards the source of heat. This causes motion of molecules in particular direction, which is called convection current. Now how convection works in our lives. In a refrigerator, air gets cooled in a freezer compartment. Cold air moves down and takes the heat from the lower compartment, and it gets warmer and then rises up again. The room heaters are kept on the floor in a room. The air in the heater heats up and rises, forcing the cooler air to move down and setting up the convection current. Winds are caused by convection in air. The air at the equator gets heated by the sun and rises up. The cooler air from the poles moves towards the equator. This results huge convection currents which causes wind across ocean and continents. Now the third one is radiation. The energy of the sun reaches us in the form of waves. These waves are absorbed by all the matters. The heat energy from the sun is transferred by the types of waves called the infrared waves. When a body absorbs infrared waves, it heats up. This type of transfer of energy is known as radiation. Unlike conduction and convection, radiation does not need a substance or particles to transfer energy. Radiation can travel through vacuum. Now radiation in our life. We get heat from the sun in the form of infrared radiation. The carbon dioxide in air absorbs the infrared radiation, which is reflected by the earth and heats up, and this is called the greenhouse effect. Now surface of room heaters are silver and shiny, and they reflect most of the heat to us. Now the next thing is, what is expansion? So we have already learned that when a particle of matter absorbs heat energy, they start moving faster, and when they move fast, they spread out. This increases the space between the particles, thus increasing their volume, and this is known as expansion. Expansion takes place in solid, liquid and gas. We can say that when an object gets heated, it expands, and when it cools, it gets contract. Expansion is minimum in solid, whereas it is maximum in gas. Now expansion in our lives. Railway tracks have small gaps at regular interval. In summer, the metal expands by absorbing heat, so the length of the track increases. If the gaps are not there, the track will bump up and cause accident. Similarly, there are gaps left between the concrete and the steel bridges. In summer, the bridges become longer due to expansion, and in winter they contract. Electric wires sag down in summers due to expansions. So that's it. Your chapter is over. Hope you understood this chapter. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any doubts, you can comment on the comment section. Thank you, students.